Welcome back to the Honey Doctor, your beekeeping mentor. It's my job to take the guesswork out of beekeeping for you. So when it comes to beekeeping, you need to decide how many hives you want to start off with, and that directly correlates with what your goals in beekeeping are. Check out the link below for the video to help set your goals for beekeeping. But to get right into it, no matter what your goals are, you should always start with at least 2 hives. And there are several reasons for that. You, for one, have something to compare to. One colony will always be a little bit stronger than the other colony. And when it comes to being a beginner, that's good because it gives you a comparison. You can see what bees ideally look like, what they could look like, and what they don't look like, or the way you don't want them to be. There's always a reason for those differences in strengths and weaknesses. And so by being able to compare, you are setting yourself up to automatically begin to learn just by observing. So one colony could be stronger because they've got a better queen, or they have a lower mite load with varroa mites. The other colony could be weaker because they have a poor queen, or they lost their queen and you didn't even know it, or they have a high mite load. There's a lot of different reasons in beekeeping why things are the way they are, and you get to learn those elements along the way as you gain experience and have fun by getting into your hives and doing hive inspections throughout the year. Another reason that you want to start with at least 2 hives is because if one ever does become weaker than it really should be, let's say it doesn't have enough food or they did lose their queen, you're able to give them resources from the stronger hive and share them with that weaker hive so they can get back up to the point at which they should be. For example, brood. You could take a frame of brood from a healthy hive, and a frame of brood is pretty much the developing baby bees. You could take that, put it in the other hive to help boost their population. Or you could take a specific, the really, really young brood from the strong hive, give it to the weak hive to help them make a new queen. Or let's say that they're hungry. You could take a frame of honey from the strong hive and give that frame of honey to the weak hive so that they've got the food and resources that they need to feed their population and raise that queen, or raise more worker bees so that they have more worker bees to go out and forage and bring back what I call the groceries, what they need to feed, which is pollen and nectar. But just because you have 2 hives doesn't mean one's going to be weaker than the other or weak at all. It just may mean that they're both strong. One might be stronger than the other. But with 2 hives, you'll not only get that comparison and the help of resources from one hive to another. I call that Robin Hooding, robbing from the rich and giving to the poor. But you'll also be able to make more honey if that's one of your goals. Believe it or not, part of honeybee hive management is to harvest their honey. If you don't, you could run into things like bees swarming. In other words, they get too crowded and cramped in the living area that you've given them, and so they'll go and look for a home somewhere else, and they'll take some of that honey and half of the bees with them. So harvesting honey is part of a management system to maintain your bees and you as their beekeeper. A fourth reason for having at least 2 hives is going to be because you're going to learn faster. Instead of just having 1 hive inspection when it comes time to inspect a hive, you're going to be doing 2. So you're going to be doing that comparison that we talked about earlier, but you're also going to be learning. You're going to have more experience by exposing yourself to more beehives. I had the fortunate circumstance of having a mentor for the first 15 years of my beekeeping experience. I didn't take it very seriously, but despite that, I learned a lot because I literally looked through thousands of hives, like virtually every day of the week. I saw something different, and eventually it all became familiar to me. The different scenarios, what you would do to correct them, the seasons, and how they affect the bees, and how the bees take advantage of the seasons. The 5th reason why you should start with at least 2 beehives is that it's going to help you get to your beehive beekeepery goals faster. You're going to experience the excitement of actually having bees and them doing well, of harvesting your first honey, tasting your first honey, being able to give away your first jar of honey to some friends or family, that's going to be so super exciting. You're going to want to do more. And with 2 hives, eventually when you make it through a season or 2, you're going to think, hey, if I could do that with 1 or 2 hives, maybe I could do it with 4. Maybe I could do it with 6. And then before you know it, you're well on your way to those goals of pollinating your garden, supplying your family with plenty of honey, having extra, maybe you can sell. Who knows? The possibilities with that are endless. There's so many different ways to take advantage of beekeeping monetarily, but also personally as well. When I come to one of my bee yards, which is called an apiary, it's kind of like Superman's fortress of solitude. I get to one of these areas and it's quiet. All I hear is the buzz of the bees in the air. I know what they're doing. I know what they're working on. It's just a peaceful time for me. And it could be that way for you too. So there you have at least 5 reasons why you should start with at least 2 hives. Check out the video where I recommend whether you start with a 3-pound package of bees or a 5-frame nuke. And just for the sake of example, these are 5-frame nukes behind me. These are splits I made this last summer, and this is my nuke yard. I will winter all of these bees in these boxes that you see, and then next spring, when they've started to grow, I'll bump them all up into my 10-frame Langstroth style deep hive body boxes, and then start growing them larger so that I can split them and sell 5-frame nukes, or split them for myself, or not split them at all and make the honey. You know what I'm talking about? Yes. Anyways, I did that. Went there. So check out that video for whether you should start with 5-frame nukes or 3-pound package of bees. Until next time, got me one of these. And thanks for subscribing by clicking the subscribe button below and hitting that notification bell. Later.